I pulled into the hospital parking garage at 2 a.m., exhausted from my overnight shift at the warehouse. That's when I saw it. A silver Honda Civic with condensation on the windows, parked in the far corner under a broken light. Something about it caught my eye. Maybe it was the way it sat there, isolated from the other cars. Or maybe it was the small handprint on the rear window. I walked closer. Through the fogged glass, I could make out two figures sleeping in the back seat. My heart stopped. I recognized that car. It was my daughter's. I tapped gently on the window. "Emma? Emma, honey, is that you?" The figure stirred. A woman's face appeared, pale and drawn in the dim light. It was Emma, my daughter. She was wrapped in a thin jacket, and behind her, I could see my 4-year-old grandson, Tyler, curled up under a blanket that looked like it came from a hotel. She cracked the window an inch.
"Dad, what are you doing here?"
"What am I doing here? Emma, what are you doing here? Why are you sleeping in your car in a hospital parking garage at 2 in the morning?"
Her eyes filled with tears. She looked away.
"Where's the house, Emma? Where's that house I sent money for, the down payment?"
My voice was rising despite myself.
"And where's Tyler's father? Where's Brandon?"
She started sobbing. "Dad, I don't have a house. I never had a house."
"What do you mean you never had a house? I sent Brandon $35,000 6 months ago for the down payment. He showed me the listing. He showed me the inspection report. He said you were closing in 2 weeks.
Emma's whole body shook. "He took it, Dad. Brandon and his father took all of it. They said I was an unfit mother. They said I was too depressed after Tyler's diagnosis to take care of him properly. They filed for custody, and Brandon's father hired lawyers, expensive ones.
They said if I fought them, they'd make sure I never saw Tyler again. So I gave up the apartment. I had to choose between rent and the lawyer to fight back. I couldn't afford both. I felt my blood pressure spike. They took my $35,000 and then kicked you out? Brandon's father told him I was dragging the family down. He said Tyler needed stability, not a mother who cried all the time. Brandon went along with everything his father said. They moved into a house together, the one you paid for, Dad. They used your money for their down payment. Then they served me papers, said I abandoned Tyler when I moved out. But I didn't abandon him. I had nowhere to take him. I've been living in my car for 3 weeks, trying to get enough money for a lawyer, but every time I save anything, something breaks, or Tyler needs something, and stop. I held up my hand. My mind was racing. Tyler is in the car with you right now. I have supervised visitation twice a week. Brandon drops him off at McDonald's. Today was my day, but when I tried to return him tonight, nobody was home. Brandon won't answer my calls. I think they're trying to say I kidnapped him. I looked at my grandson sleeping in the back seat. He was 4 years old. He had autism, and loud noises scared him, and he needed routine and patience. And his mother, my daughter, was sleeping in a car in a hospital parking garage because her husband and father-in-law had stolen from us and thrown her away like garbage. "Get out of the car," I said. "Dad, I can't just..." "Emma Marie, get out of this car right now. Get Tyler. You're coming home with me." "But Brandon will say..." "I don't give a damn what Brandon will say. Get out. Now." She hesitated, then opened the door. I helped her gather their things. A duffel bag with clothes, Tyler's tablet, a grocery bag with snacks and juice boxes. Tyler woke up confused, but I scooped him up. He laid his head on my shoulder. "Hi, Grandpa," he murmured. "Hi, buddy. We're going to my house. You can sleep in the spare bedroom." As I carried my grandson to my truck, I was already planning. Brandon and his father had made a serious mistake. They'd stolen from me, abused my daughter, and tried to take my grandson. But they'd underestimated one thing. I'm an accountant. I've been an accountant for 42 years, and accountants keep records of everything. When we got home, I settled Tyler on the couch with his tablet and a warm blanket. Emma collapsed at my kitchen table, crying so hard she couldn't catch her breath. "When did you eat last?" I asked.
Yesterday morning, I had a granola bar.
I made her a sandwich and heated up leftover soup. While she ate, I asked questions. I needed facts, dates, names, documentation. She told me everything. Brandon had seemed supportive at first, right after Tyler's autism diagnosis, but his father, Kenneth, a real estate developer with money and connections, had different ideas. Kenneth thought Emma was too emotional. He thought Tyler needed firm guidance, not coddling. He convinced Brandon that Emma's mental health struggles after the diagnosis meant she was unfit. The money I'd sent was supposed to be for a house in Emma's name. I'd wired it to Brandon because he said the mortgage company needed it to come from his account for the loan approval. I'd trusted him. He was my son-in-law. He'd been married to Emma for 6 years. "Do you have any paperwork?" I asked. "Custody documents, court filings, anything." She pulled a wrinkled envelope from her duffel bag. Inside were the custody papers. Temporary custody to Brandon. Supervised visitation for Emma. Court date set for 3 weeks from now. "Have you talked to a lawyer?" I called 6. The cheap ones said they couldn't take the case. The good ones wanted $5,000 up front. "I have $700, Dad. That's it." I looked at my daughter, 31 years old, a former elementary school teacher who'd taken leave after Tyler's diagnosis to focus on his therapy. She'd done everything right. She'd loved her son, gotten him into early intervention, learned about autism, adjusted her whole life. And she'd been punished for it. "Go to bed," I told her. "Take the guest room. Tyler can sleep with you tonight. Tomorrow, we start fighting back." After she went to bed, I went to my office. I opened my filing cabinet and pulled out the folder labeled Emma, House Fund. Inside was everything. The original promissory note I'd written when I gave her the money as an early inheritance. The wire transfer receipt showing $35,000 sent to Brandon Davis's account on March 15th. The emails where Brandon had thanked me, promised to put Emma's name on the deed, sent me photos of their house. But I had something else, too. I had my phone records, every call, every text message. I had Brandon's messages to me. "Emma's having a hard time, Richard. Maybe don't mention the house to her right now. Don't want to stress her out." And later, "Emma and I are separating. We'll figure out the house situation later." He'd been covering his tracks, making sure I didn't know what was really happening. Making sure Emma and I didn't compare notes. I spent 3 hours that night documenting everything in a spreadsheet. Every interaction, every dollar, every lie. At 6 a.m., I called my brother Marcus. He's a lawyer, family law specifically. We hadn't talked in months, but he answered on the second ring. "Richard, everything okay?" "No. I need help. It's Emma." I told him everything. When I finished, there was a long silence. "Jesus, Richard. Okay, listen to me carefully. Emma needs to file an emergency motion to modify the custody order. She has Tyler with her right now, right?" "Yes." "Good. Don't let Brandon take him. If Brandon shows up, don't open the door. Call the police if you have to. Emma has legal visitation, and he's the one who abandoned Tyler by not being home for the return. That's on him, not her.
What about the money?
That's trickier. But you have documentation that you gave that money to Brandon specifically for a house for Emma. If he used it for his own house, that's fraud. We can file a civil suit. But first, we focus on Tyler. The custody hearing is in 3 weeks?
Yes.
I'll represent Emma. Pro bono. Family rate.
Marcus, I can pay.
Shut up, Richard. She's my niece. Let me do this. I felt something loosen in my chest.
Thank you.
Thank me by keeping detailed records of everything from now on. Emma's interactions with Tyler, her efforts to find housing and employment, everything Brandon says or does. We're going to bury these guys. The next 3 weeks were a blur. Marcus filed an emergency motion, and we got a hearing within 5 days. Brandon and Kenneth showed up with their lawyer, a slick guy named Patterson who talked about stability and Emma's documented mental health struggles. But Marcus was ready. He had my financial records showing the money I'd given for Emma's house. He had emails proving Brandon had lied about the house being in Emma's name. He had testimony from Tyler's occupational therapist, who said Emma had been the primary caregiver and had done an exemplary job managing Tyler's therapy schedule. Your Honor, Marcus said, Mr. Davis and his father orchestrated a scheme to defraud Emma's father and remove Emma from her son's life. They used her mental health, which, I should note, was temporary postpartum anxiety following her son's diagnosis, as a weapon to strip her of custody. Meanwhile, they took the money that was meant for her housing and used it for themselves. This isn't about Tyler's best interests. This is about control and greed. The judge looked at Brandon. Mr. Davis, did you or did you not receive $35,000 from Richard Morrison with the understanding that it would be used for a house for your wife?
Brandon stammered. Well, yes, but Emma and I were married, so technically, was the house put in Emma's name? We were planning to add her to the deed once.
Yes or no, Mr. Davis?
No. The judge made a note. I'm ordering a full custody evaluation and a financial audit. In the meantime, I'm modifying the custody order. Emma Morrison Davis will have physical custody of the minor child, with supervised visitation for Mr. Davis until the evaluation is complete. Brandon's face went red. Kenneth stood up. Your Honor, this is outrageous. Mr. Morrison, if you speak again without being recognized, I'll hold you in contempt. We're done here. Emma started crying. I put my arm around her. But we weren't done. Not by a long shot.
Marcus filed a civil suit against Brandon and Kenneth for fraud, conversion of funds, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The discovery process was brutal. We got access to Brandon's bank records, and there it was, my $35,000 deposited into his account, then transferred to an escrow account for a house. A house solely in Brandon's and Kenneth's names. They'd used my money as their down payment and hadn't put Emma on anything. We also discovered something else. Kenneth had hired a private investigator to follow Emma, document her instability. The investigator's report was full of lies and distortions. Subject observed crying in her car. Yes, because she was homeless and heartbroken. Subject observed feeding child fast food. Yes, because she couldn't afford anything else and wanted to make sure Tyler ate. It was all a hit job. Kenneth had decided Emma wasn't good enough for his son, and he'd systematically destroyed her life to get rid of her. The custody evaluation took 6 weeks. Emma stayed with me the whole time. She got a job at a local elementary school, substitute teaching. She enrolled in therapy to document her mental health. She kept a daily log of Tyler's activities, his meals, his therapy sessions. She did everything right. Tyler thrived. With routine and stability, he was calmer, happier. His therapist noted significant improvement in the child's emotional regulation and social engagement. When the evaluator's report came back, it was damning for Brandon and Kenneth. The father appears more concerned with his father's approval than his son's well-being. The paternal grandfather demonstrates controlling and manipulative behavior. In contrast, the mother shows appropriate attunement to the child's needs and has made substantial efforts to address her own mental health. The recommendation? Full custody to Emma. Limited, supervised visitation for Brandon. We went back to court 3 months after that first emergency hearing. This time, the judge didn't hesitate. I'm granting full legal and physical custody to Emma Morrison Davis. Mr. Davis will have supervised visitation, 2 hours per week, at a location approved by the court. The court also finds that Mr. Davis and Mr. Kenneth Morrison engaged in fraud regarding the funds provided by Richard Morrison. They are jointly and severally liable for the return of those funds, plus interest and damages. Brandon stared at the table. Kenneth's face was purple with rage. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal prosecution. What you did to this woman and her child is unconscionable. The civil suit settled 2 months later. Brandon and Kenneth agreed to pay back the full $35,000 plus $20,000 in damages and legal fees. They also signed over the house, the one they'd bought with my money, to Emma. They had to move out within 30 days. Kenneth tried to fight it, but his lawyer told him the truth. If they went to trial, the jury would crucify them. The evidence was overwhelming. On moving day, I helped Emma and Tyler move into their house. It was a 3-bedroom ranch with a fenced backyard, perfect for a little boy who needed space to run and play. Tyler ran through the house giggling. My house! Grandpa, look! My house! Emma stood in the kitchen crying again. But this time, they were different tears. I can't believe this is real, she said. 6 months ago, I was sleeping in my car. Now I have full custody, a job, a house. How did this happen? You fought back, I told her, and you had people who loved you and believed in you. I thought I'd lost everything. I thought Brandon and Kenneth had won. They underestimated you, and they definitely underestimated your old man, I smiled. Never mess with an accountant, honey. We keep receipts. She laughed, a real laugh for the first time in months. Brandon's visitation lasted for about a year before he gave up. He remarried, moved to another state, and stopped showing up for his court-ordered visits. Emma didn't fight it. Tyler didn't ask about his father. He was happy. Kenneth lost his business. Turns out, when word got out about what he'd done, stealing from family, manipulating custody proceedings, his reputation in the community tanked. Clients left. Contracts dried up. Last I heard, he filed for bankruptcy. Emma rebuilt her life. She went back to teaching full-time. She met someone new, a good man, a teacher at her school who loves Tyler and understands autism. They're taking it slow, but I like him. He treats my daughter the way she deserves to be treated. Tyler is 7 now. He's in 2nd grade in a wonderful special education program. He's reading, making friends, participating in class. He still needs support, but he's thriving. Last weekend, I was at their house for Sunday dinner. Tyler showed me his latest drawing, a picture of our family. Him, Emma, me, Emma's boyfriend, and their dog, Buddy. That's all of us, Grandpa, he said proudly. It's perfect, Buddy. After dinner, Emma and I stood on the back porch while Tyler played with the dog.
Dad, I never thanked you properly, she said. You saved us. If you hadn't found us that night, if you hadn't fought for me.
You don't need to thank me. You're my daughter. He's my grandson. There was never a question of whether I'd fight. The only question was how hard. She hugged me.
I'm going to make sure Tyler knows what you did. When he's older, I'm going to tell him the whole story. How his grandpa refused to let us disappear.
Just tell him his grandpa loves him. That's enough. Looking back, I think about that night in the parking garage. The moment I saw my daughter and grandson sleeping in that car. The moment I understood what Brandon and Kenneth had done. They thought they could erase Emma. They thought they could steal from us, manipulate the system, and get away with it because they had money and lawyers and a good story. But they forgot something. They forgot that some people don't give up on the ones they love. They forgot that documentation beats manipulation every time. And they forgot that a father will move heaven and earth for his child. I'm 63 years old now. I've seen a lot in my life, but I've never been prouder of anything than helping Emma get her son back and rebuild her life. Sometimes people ask me if I'm angry about what Brandon and Kenneth did, if I hate them. I don't hate them. Hate takes too much energy, and I'd rather spend that energy on Tyler's soccer games and Emma's happiness and Sunday dinners with my family. But I do want people to know the truth. I want other families to know that if someone tries to steal from you, manipulate you, use the system against you, you can fight back. You can win. It's hard and it takes time, and you need help. But you can win. Document everything. Keep receipts. Trust but verify. And never, ever give up on the people you love. That's the lesson I learned. That's the lesson I hope stays with Emma and Tyler forever. And as for Brandon and Kenneth, they got exactly what they deserved. They thought they were so smart, so untouchable. But in the end, the truth caught up with them. It always does. Tyler just called me from the backyard. He wants me to push him on his new swing set. So that's where I'll be, doing what grandpas do, being there, showing up, loving my family. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Not the money, not the house, not the legal victories. Just love and family and showing up when it counts. Everything else is just paperwork.